recap of the Mission Impossible film series with my buddy Darin Lundberg on this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Hello and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's June 4th, 2025, and this is episode 131. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my website, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. As many film fans know, here in the U.S., Memorial Day weekend of 2025 was quote-unquote Stitch Possible weekend, where two giant films opened up. One was the remake of Disney's animated film Lilo and Stitch, and the other one was the 8th film in the Mission Impossible series starring Tom Cruise, and all records were broken. Box office records, that is. With both of those films. I saw both of them over Memorial Day weekend, which was really a lot of fun. I emphasize loathe, these live action remakes from Disney. I think they are just stupid and pathetic and so uncreative. However, I did see Lilo and Stitch with my nephew and his 3 young children, and the kids all absolutely loved it. The theater was full. The movie didn't suck. So anyway, that's just really all I can say about it. We had a good time, and Lilo and Stitch also just made just a tremendous amount of money. Not that is a good thing necessarily, because just with these remakes, when they remakes make money, that means that's all Disney's going to continue to do. But anyway. The mission at hand here, should you choose to accept it, is a great conversation that I had with my buddy Darin Lundberg about not only the entire Mission Impossible film series, but we also give our reviews and opinions on this latest film, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So here's my conversation with my good buddy Darin Lundberg. I'm joined by my buddy Darin. Hey, Darin, how are you?
I'm doing good, Stanford. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm so excited to talk with you about this. Darin and I are going to discuss the Mission Impossible movies.
Goody.
And we're going to start at the beginning and go to the end here with our recording. So, Darin, really, what was your first experience with these Mission Impossible movies? Do you have any relationship with the TV series too, or what's your kind of initial beginnings with it?
I have no connection to the TV series. The interesting thing is my dad had a big connection to it. And we're assuming that everybody's seen these movies. The Jim Phelps twist, how it turns out he's the bad guy. My dad did not like that at all. Like, he didn't understand why they had to do that.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, I had no connection to Jim Phelps, so whatever. Like, it was just,
yes.
He's just a spy that's been in the game and just sees how the world's changing, and he needs to take advantage of, whatever. That's just how the world is. But I don't know, Stanford, if you remember the Academy Theater down in Provo. It was just like this one large kind of old-timey theater, just played one movie. It wasn't like a multi-screen thing. But
yes, I do remember the Academy.
Yeah, I love that theater. Went to see so many movies there.
Yes.
And that summer of '96, I saw Mission Impossible there. I saw Independence Day there. That was a good fun.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. So that was, big. Like, those were events even in Utah. Like, it was great walking in a crowded theater. And that first Mission Impossible was an experience. It's one of those movies that it's just, you're in, you're out. It's very lean. There's no meat on it. And when it's done, it's done. There's no, comparing it to the later movies, there's no fat on it. Like, some of the later movies really have a lot extra meat on the bone that I'm not sure that I like as much. But yeah, it's a great thriller. Obviously, I'm a big Brian De Palma fan. The way that he rips off Battleship Potemkin and Top Copy and Rafifi, with all that's De Palma's speed. It was a fun experience. It was Tom Cruise's first producing film, right? He wanted to make a franchise,
which I thought was so interesting to be reminded that that's Tom Cruise did that Did you see that big post he did on Instagram? Was it this week about reflecting back on how that was his first film that he
it was lovely.
produced.
So he picked Brian De Palma. So even back then, Tom Cruise is like the David O. Selznick of the Mission Impossible movies, or the Kevin Feige for people who don't know who Selznick is. But he hired De Palma and like let him do his thing. That's what I think is impressive. It's not so much the Cruise is the controlling factor, but he wants these directors to kind of step in and make it their own. And I thought that was, for the first 4 or 5 Mission Impossibles, I thought it was great having a different flavor for each one.
And I'm so glad you brought up Brian De Palma because he has such a distinctive style.
Yeah.
And, I thought it worked.
Yeah.
For this film, I thought it was stylish. I just remember being supremely entertained.
Right.
By it.
It's a cold movie. Like Brian De Palma's movies are cold. Like
that's good. That's a good way to put it.
You have a distance from it. You're not really involved. You're kind of watching it like out from the outside looking in, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Owen Gleiberman, I love saying this. He described Mission Impossible as a live action diagram, which I thought was funny. It's very well structured. And I think there's still the controversy over how everybody was just confused by the plot. And once you realize that, just Phelps faked his death and was planning all these things, right? That's really it. Like, you don't really have to dive into that. But even if the plot was confusing, I just thought those 2 big set pieces with the Langley break-in and then the train sequence at the end with the TGV high-speed train in France, I just thought those were so awesome to see on a big screen, especially that Langley break-in. I don't know, Stanford, if you had a chance to see the first Mission Impossible in theaters, but
I did see it in the theater.
I saw it with a crowd each time, and that break-in when they have to be completely silent, the audience was silent.
Oh, it
was great.
It was such a great experience, and just like you can hear people gasp,
and giggle.
Yes, and that was so fun and so iconic. A lot of people make fun of it. In fact, I saw a funny thing with an image of Stitch in that position, hanging, just right above the floor for Stitch Possible weekend, and I thought that was funny. And again, just you just never forget that.
Right.
It's just an indelible part of that series, and I think a solid film. I don't have a lot of. I remember watching Mission Impossible some as a kid.
Okay.
I mean, a very young kid. But honestly, what I really remember is the opening credits. The opener of the show, because of that terrific music,
right?
And then just the fuse, the fuse going, and how fun that was. And then just I love the self-destructing messages and stuff.
Right.
I didn't feel like, again, I had no real attachment to the series, or frankly, a lot of knowledge. I didn't feel like the movie, other than the music and that it was about spies, reminded me at all of the TV show.
Okay.
But it wasn't a complaint because, again, I wasn't invested in the TV show at all. It just didn't seem to me, other than in name and music, it didn't have anything to do, with what I remember the TV show being. But again, also I was really young.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, watching episodes of the TV series later, I think maybe the first 20 minutes of the movie are very TV series-y, and then it takes a turn and it kills off the entire team and it becomes a different movie.
Yeah.
But that first 20 minutes is at least fun in the same tradition. I think it's funny too that they plan their meeting in just like a hotel room, compared to later movies where it's like in the bottom of a submarine. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
very pared down, and that's the hard thing about a franchise like this is you have to go bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where now it's a nuclear holocaust.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost
too big, in some ways, which I know we'll get into as a bit of a deep dive. Okay, so now then we jump 4 years to 2000 for Mission Impossible 2, directed by internationally acclaimed action director John Woo.
Yep.
What did you think of this sequel?
The big attraction for the movie, though, I was really into Hans Zimmer about the time that this movie was released. Like I was collecting every soundtrack. I was just rabid for like the bootleg copies of his scores because the thing with Hans Zimmer is he will release. When you record a score for movies, you record them in little snippets, and then when like for the as you recorded the movie, and then when you release it on a soundtrack, you either combine those or you know what I mean. So you combine them
Yeah.
into larger tracks, and so that I was just rabid just to hear what Hans Zimmer scores would be like in like 1 minute or 2 minute snippets. And on his soundtracks, they would combine to be anywhere from 3 minute tracks to 27-minute tracks. Just insane. And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
it was crazy just realizing the kind of, piecing it together how they did all that. But so I was huge. I knew that I think Gladiator came out before this. And so that
Yes, I believe it did, didn't it? I think
yeah,
so.
yeah, that score was huge with Lisa Gerard
Yeah.
co-writing that with him, and so that already got me hyped up. And then I knew that he was doing this one next, so I was just excited to hear what music was in the movie. And so that's what made Mission Impossible kind of my go-to for that summer of 2000. And you know how it's the opposite of time heals all wounds. I really loved the second one when I first saw it. I loved it better than the first one because there's more life to it. There's more color. There's more passion to it. Like as opposed to just shooting it in sterile white rooms like De Palma did. Wu shoots it in like blues and greens and reds, and it's just color everywhere. And so you really feel, especially from the Naya character's perspective, you really feel a lot of that. And I thought the mask stuff was fun. I like the guitar Mission Impossible stuff. And it's only like when you watch the rest of the series that you're like, it kind of doesn't fit the rest of the like the Ethan is weird. Ethan's like a jerk James Bond in Mission Impossible 2. He's not the caring Ethan that we because famously in the De Palma movie, Cruise wanted to cut out all emotion. He didn't want any character arcs or any really deep stuff. He just wanted Ethan to be like a two-dimensional character that you could plug in like a stick figure into these action sequences.
Yeah.
So they didn't really have a character down for him, and just having him, because this movie MI2 is a full-on James Bond riff. Like it's
Yeah. Absolutely.
he's infallible. Like he can't make a mistake. It's all this stuff. He's got the beautiful flowing long hair, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just really weird. I think the mask stuff is really silly the more that you watch it. I really love because they're in that room at the end, and it's with Ambrose or whatever, and he's selling the stocks or whatever, and then Ethan gets into the room, and you're like, well, how is he going to get in the room? Obviously, he's going to switch masks with the sidekick character, right? And
Yeah.
so I liked that. I thought that was really cool. But because they use the masks so much throughout the rest of the movie, it really kind of took the edge off of that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, but it's and there's we talked a little bit about the Alien franchise with some themes, and so I want to kind of talk about that, which just makes it kind of cool. But what were your thoughts on MI2? Just so I don't talk about
I didn't care for MI2 mostly because of internationally acclaimed action director John Woo. I really like John Woo. I mean,
it. Right.
I think he's done some really cool stuff, and I was very excited to know that he was directing this film.
Especially
I,
after Face Off, which is I went
yeah.
crazy for that movie when that
Yes.
came out.
Absolutely. But I just felt like it was also. So I love how you compare it to James Bond because I think that's spot on, and I also feel like though it's heavily influenced by martial arts films,
Yeah.
and which I love martial arts. I love many martial arts films, but for me it just didn't work.
Right.
And and the action scenes, which again were impressive, but just were so over the top for me that I just by the end of it I was just like rolling my eyes. It's just so it's probably my least favorite,
Yeah.
but definitely still though things to respect and enjoy.
Right. It's my bottom one. It's funny when you rank lists and you say this is the in air quotes worst one. People, oh, you hate that one. It's like no, I don't hate it.
Yeah, yeah,
I like to love every single one of these movies. Just a bit of a spoiler. I really enjoy these movies. It's the franchise that I was really looking forward. I always look forward to seeing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it's the same thing with John Woo coming in and Cruise being no, I don't want you to try to match De Palma. You just be you, right?
yeah.
And it approaches a bit of parody. I think at sometimes like at this
Yes,
point the doves are just way too much. Um, The doubles, the when Ethan does that slow motion kick with all the pigeons around, like, I think I rolled my eyes at that. Um,
Yes.
and then the fight with Ambrose in the end, the last time we watched it, me and, my wife watched it, and she was just like, "This fight looks so fake, it looks so staged."
Yeah.
And maybe it's the slow motion, maybe it's
The
just
slow
watching.
motion and just the choreography of it all. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it has the famous, knife to the eye sequence, so that's really cool. It has,
Yeah.
him climbing the rock mountain, which John Woo was famously, like, terrified of. I think it was in the Dead Horse Point State
Yeah.
Park in
Wasn't that
Illinois.
filmed in Utah? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's very vertiginous, and it when you watch it, you're like, "Holy crap, that's really him." I think that was our first instance of seeing Cruise, like, risk his life, and oh my gosh, and water cooler stuff, right? You'd be like, "Did you see him on the" no matter what happened in the rest of the movie, you're like, "Did you see him, like, on the edge of that cliff and the mountain?" Like, that's what everybody would talk about. And you're right, like, the Langley break-in in the first one, it's so iconic that now Stitch is parodying it, right? Everybody knows where it's from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not as impressive like as, a halo jump or anything, but apparently when you study it, that's a really hard position for Cruise to stay in, like, vertical with his body, and so even that is very physical. So there's a lot of physicality throughout this. Again, just looking at this one, I think that was the main thing, like the rock climbing and the knife in the eye. So yeah, a lot of it's really silly. I think Tandy Wayne Newton, she does a great job, as the love interest. It's there's some metaphors that work because of John Woo that I really liked. I like that they have the flamenco dance when he and Naya first meet. And
Yeah.
then it's the John Woo version of a meet cute, right? Where instead of, like, flirting with each other, they're in 2 cars, like, speeding on a cliff, like, spinning around each other. That's very, very Woo, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
But then you also have I really like the idea of the Bellerophon and the Chimera, as the viruses in the movie, and it's really cool because when the Rede's I can't pronounce his last name, the guy that plays the doctor, Rede, I'm not gonna mess up his last name, I
Yes.
apologize, but it's when he comes out and he sees the kids singing "Ring Around the Rosie." That "Ring Around the Rosie" is about nuclear war, right? It's about fallout from all that, so it's kinda tying in with, like, the virus stuff, but I like how Bellerophon is like the cure and Chimera is the virus. Like, Chimera, I think, it has the head of a lion and the tail of a snake,
Yeah.
and that's Ambrose. Like, he's 2 things. He's a double spy, right? And then Bellerophon is the knight, and that's Ethan. And so the silly part where they're doing the jousting on the motorcycles, they it's very nighty, right? It's they're literally jousting. So I like all of that. I think it's really cool, but it's just at the behest of this really silly, like Hitchcock Notorious ripoff movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think that's a really good point too, because in some ways, it did, even though maybe it was just playing an homage, or again John Woo was just kind of being John Woo.
Right.
It felt like kind of a rip off on some of the stuff too.
Right.
That just didn't really, again, really work that well for me. But I really do appreciate hearing your perspective, and it's helping me, I think, see it in a different light.
Well,
Uh,
you and we met and saw Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade when it was
yes,
here, right? Which that's gonna be in, for the record books for me for the rest of my life. But anyway, so
I'm with
so
you. I'm with you. Wow.
when we talked a little bit, would this be John Woo's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Is this him doing what he's usually good at, but he's just not working
I
this time?
think I would think so. Frankly, yeah. I just,
Okay.
and again, it seemed to have all the components that should have worked, and again, and for me, they didn't. But again, maybe I'm being just too critical. But
No,
because there's definitely some stuff to like, and there's definitely a real wow factor, and it's again very John Woo, just in the how stylistic
right,
it is.
right.
But
And I just had the last thing I want to say. The sequence where Ethan breaks into Biosite and Ambrose brings in Naya, and it has that whole sequence where she injects herself with the virus and they get in the gunfight. That sequence is my favorite sequence in the whole movie. And
yeah,
that's if I was to tell you like the best parts of each movie, that's the one that stands out. But that's again because of the Hans Zimmer score. I love that track. I think the
yeah, the
choreography is really
score is
good.
great, and the stakes felt real,
Yeah.
and yeah, that
She
was
gets
that.
agency all of a sudden. She takes
Yes,
things into her own hands. I think that's great.
yeah.
But again, it might just come way too late in the movie for it to matter, though. I think that might be the problem.
Right. And then there's motorcycle jousting, and it's like, oh.
Right.
So now we jump then, 6 years later, in 2006, we got Mission Impossible 3, directed by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
And I felt this was like, if anything needed a reboot, it was Mission Impossible after the John Woo one. Forget for
Right.
me, and I was just absolutely dazzled
Yeah.
by
Okay.
this. What was your experience seeing Mission Impossible 3?
Notoriously, I think this is the movie released after or during the couch jump on Oprah that Cruise was doing, and
Oh,
when he was insulting Matt Lauer for
yeah.
medicine and stuff.
Right. That was bad.
So, and that kind of goes against. I love Tom Cruise now. Like I agree that he's our last movie star, our last Hollywood star. But back then it was like, and we might have talked about this before. It's like you're just act. I don't care about like your Scientology.
Yeah,
I don't
about
care
your
about
Scientology and how much you love Katie Holmes and all this stuff is just
yeah.
like, yeah,
Keep that to
yeah,
yourself. I don't like just I feel bad, but like dance, monkey. I mean, that's your job. Like,
yeah, exactly. And I feel like he does such a better job with that now.
yeah, yeah,
That he is just promoting his films. He's
yeah,
not doing weird stuff. He's just, yeah.
right. Well, seeing this in the like again, I was excited for it. 6 years. That's weird. You go
Yeah,
from 3
it's weird. That was a long gap.
and that was like
Yeah,
what 2 years in between, right? So
yeah.
yeah, it's just very strange that there wasn't such a big. And this I think is the lowest grossing out of a. It's funny when you talk about Mission Impossible 2 because that was the #1 box office
Oh,
earner of
it was
2000.
a smash. Yeah,
Huge. So even though people hated it, it's like, well, it was the most successful one up to whenever like Fallout or Rogue Nation or anything like that.
yeah,
But seeing it in the theater, again the J.J. Abrams factor. I think David Fincher, who we talked about before, he was attached first, and then Joe Carnahan, who did a movie called Narc, he was attached
yeah.
next, and then they moved to again. I'm glad Fincher didn't do it because I don't. Fincher's not.
I don't think that would have worked.
Yeah, learning from Alien 3, I don't think he's a franchise guy. I don't
Yeah,
think
exactly. For that very reason. Yeah.
right. Even though, like we talked about, Alien 3 is very much a Fincher movie, which is what's great about that one. But, having people make fun of J.J. Abrams, and I don't know J.J. Abrams. Like, his whole deal is just copying what other people do. But
It's derivative, but I thought it was really well made.
yeah, because there's none of the later stuff that really gets him down. I think, Force Awakens is nice to look at, but it doesn't have the heart or the dramatization of the first Star Wars. Like he doesn't know how to how to really like dive into themes and things to make them resonate. But Mission Impossible 3 is like it might be his best movie like that or Star Trek, which are weird because they're both TV adaptations. Maybe that's
Yeah,
just his route now.
right. No, I think you bring up an excellent point. I wasn't. I know that it was like a key part of the film. I don't really love the relationship between Tom Cruise and Michelle Monaghan. And then maybe again, it's just me being cold hearted. But what's your take on the romance in the film? I think part of it too is I just hate it when the female lead is put in a dangerous spot.
When they fridge her, right?
Yeah,
Well, that's the difference. You know what? Thinking about it now, I agree with you, but looking at the rest of the series, like we'll talk about how Final Reckoning tries to connect everything, which might be a big mistake. But anyway, so so with
yeah,
this one,
yeah,
I like the idea that they're kind of seeding things. If you look at it now,
yeah. Absolutely.
he loses Julia, right? Because he realizes he can't have a personal life, like she's going to be in danger. And so I think in a way that ties in with where the rest of the way that
Yeah,
the
it
movie ends
does.
with him getting her back is that's where I really side with you about. No, she's just there to be in danger and in peril and to be rescued and things like that.
Yeah,
As she goes on, when she shows up in later movies, it's like, oh, that actually resonates a little bit more because he can't be happy in his line of work, right? He can't do that. And
right.
so that's, I guess my only other take on that is the thing with Mission Impossible and Mission Impossible 2 is they're not team movies. They're just Tom Cruise movies, right?
Yeah, right.
Occasional flourishes with the team. But this one, weirdly, it's still a personal story for Ethan, but because his team steps up, because Luther steps up, and basically has his back, it makes it more of a team movie than either of the first two movies. And I really like that aspect of the movie.
Yeah, I do too.
And as far as J.J. Abrams goes, people make fun of his TV staging, but I'm always looking at it going, well, it's based on a TV series.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you have the scene with the helicopters where they're flying against the fans, the solar fans or whatever. That's a very cool visual. That's a very cinematic visual with the helicopter blades and then the fan blades going, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's very cinematic. I don't know why people don't talk about that more. And yeah, there's some weird stuff. I think Dan Mendel is his cinematographer. And then again, I just wanted to mention, because we didn't, the cinematographer for first Mission Impossible, Stephen H. Buram, who worked with De Palma a lot. And then for the Mission Impossible 2, it was Jeffrey L. Kimball. For this one, it's Dan Mendel. But yeah, the Dan Mendel stuff, the handheld stuff,
yeah.
it's weird. If you watch it now, they're jumping, and I never understood the aesthetic of. I think people watch the Bourne movies, and then they're like, "Oh, let's just do shaky cam." You're like, "Well, the Bourne
Yeah,
movies at least understood what to do,"
right.
but I'm not sure these other movies do.
And I was wondering about that too. Like, how much of that was influenced by JJ, to do that kind of handheld stuff, as well as the way it's edited.
Right.
I I in some ways I enjoy it, and in other ways I just think, well, I'm not sure I really like that. So yeah, kind of, I guess,
Right.
middle of the road, or it varies just depending maybe on how I'm feeling or something's dumb like that.
But we talk about the second one being, everybody hates it, but it still was the number one grossing movie. I
Yeah.
think people look down on this one, but in a way, this is the one that kind of set the stage for the rest of the series.
Well, that's the thing for me too, Darin, is that I feel like this one, the series pivoted,
Yeah.
and I think for the better.
Right.
It just
It found its footing.
yes, exactly. And I feel like it found its kind of narrative voice, and
Right.
and so it's definitely not like my top film, but I think that three is a good one, and frankly an important one for that, just that very
Yeah.
reason.
Well, I don't know if you realize it until you actually see Ghost Protocol really take the helm and make it work. But this does set the stage. We can't move on without talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman in this. He famously, Philip. I don't know how you feel about Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's a really tragic
Oh, such a
loss.
sad, yeah,
What
sad,
an actor! And
because he's such a fine actor.
right, and they're posting clips of the Tom Cruise monologue in Magnolia, where it's Philip Seymour Hoffman in the background, right?
Yeah,
And Hoffman talks about how in that movie when they were shooting it, um, he didn't think Cruise was going to go that deep, and so when he's crying on camera, when Philip Seymour Hoffman is crying, those are real tears, because
yeah,
he didn't affect Cruise. He didn't expect Cruise to affect him like that, and to know Philip Seymour Hoffman, famously when he was on set with Meryl Streep for Doubt, supposedly he made her sweat during scenes, like he really elevated her acting
oh
and
wow,
challenged
interesting,
her.
yeah, yeah,
So to know that, and then to hear him talk so graciously about Cruise, that's something that I really love about a really good actor. And then
yeah.
him showing up in a Hunger Games movie and just kind of stealing all his scenes in that one. It's
Exactly.
really fun. And
Yeah.
then in here, man, oh my gosh, he is such a
Oh
threat. And
wow.
he's a middleman. You know what I mean? It,
Right.
Drew McWeeny online famously said that this is the movie where in the TV series you would always have the guy that they duped, that they trick to pull off their mission, and this movie is the dupe becomes the villain, right? He takes charge. And so just starting the movie off with which again JJ Abrams is famous for, I guess, with the flash forward, and then I don't know, he's got Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins is Hannibal Lecter kind of vibes in this
Yes.
movie. He's
Oh,
incredible.
absolutely right. Yeah, he's really scary,
Yeah.
and that's really effective and unforgettable.
Yeah.
Uh, I think too. Again, maybe one of the reasons why I like this particularly better than number two. It just has such a good villain,
Yeah.
which I think really can make this type of movie. Right? It's just like
Yeah.
the villain's got to be,
James
believable and
Right. James Bond movies live or die by their villains, right? And so if you were to look at this James Bond
Absolutely.
series, way to
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
And then it's super fun when they're in Vatican City and they're doing the whole heist where they wear the mask. It looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman is having fun
He's having fun.
playing
Yeah.
Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise. I would love to see behind the scenes stuff, what he was like on set. I'm sure he's having
Yes.
a blast.
Exactly.
So
Uh, I think the masks are used effectively
right.
in
They don't
3.
overdo them. Yeah.
Yeah. For the just case in point, just as you mentioned, and yeah, for me, there's a lot to like
Right.
in 3.
Right.
So now we jump, and again, it's hard to believe too. There was a 5-year break. To 2011
Yeah.
is when Ghost Protocol came out, and I mean, I was stoked the moment I heard that Brad Bird was directing it
Oh my
because
gosh.
I'm such a Pixar fan, particularly I don't know what you call it, but like Golden Age Pixar,
Right.
where we got
Makes sense. I know.
Incredibles and Up and Ratatouille, But wow, what a debut for a live action film! I thought I
Yeah.
was blown away by it. What was your take, or what was your experience with Ghost Protocol?
Well, the thing that's great is it's again looking at these first four movies. They're very, auteurish. I guess there's a
Yes,
flavor. Like it's a De Palma movie. It's a Wu movie. It's a
yeah, they're
J.J.
all
Abrams movie.
different.
And so I love that this is literally a live action cartoon. It's so over the
Yeah,
top, but in a
yeah,
way that's not, kind of, uh, you know, full of itself. You know what I mean?
right.
It's just really fun, and the Burj Khalifa sequence might be. I
Oh,
think it's my favorite sequence in any of these
my
movies.
stars. That's just the most amazing thing. Yeah.
And because the camera work is so great, because Cruise, and this is I think where Cruise really sells it. Like there was no really huge stunt in Mission Impossible 3, which it's really small scale, but like him, this is our first instance. I think the thing that makes these so good is it's not just that Tom Cruise is doing the stunts, it's that he's barely doing the stunts. He's not James Bond, cool and confident. And again, that's why I think 2 is kind of off, because that's not the Ethan that we like, that we kind
Right.
of gravitate to. So when he steps out of that the whole build up to him stepping out of that building, it's terrifying. And you can tell he's terrified. He doesn't want to do it, but he has to, right? And the camera, I'm not sure how they did that, Stanford, when the camera like moves out of the building with him and you're just seeing all the way down and you can
I
see
wondered that same
everything.
thing. Like, how in the world did they shoot that? It's so cool.
Amazing. And it's
Yeah.
and it's super fun and funny. When the whole movie, their equipment is failing, right? So the little gloves, the Red Dead, blue glue kind of thing, when they're failing on him, it's so you're kind of cackling at it because it's so terrifying, but it's also got a sense of humor to it. I think this is like we talked about. The third one is where it kind of planted the seeds, but this is where it really hits its stride. This is still it amazes me to say this is not my favorite of the movies, but I adore this movie. It's literally a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that's great too is Tom Cruise really took a hit, like a PR hit, because of everything we talked about. And the way that they film him in this, it's kind of like he's recapturing his movie star quality, how they shoot him from the back in the prison. And it's so funny. There's just a good sense of humor to this whole movie. It just works beautifully.
Yeah. Well said. Because it is so cartoony, but for me, it just really worked. It was just everything really clicked, and again, it was just movie going bliss, for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I loved to. I thought that the team was so solid in
Right.
this film. I have a total crush on Paula Patton. I mean, I love her
Right.
in this. But I mean, Simon Pegg is great, and he's always great, right?
Right.
Uh,
He's when they break into the Kremlin, that sequence when they're putting up the little it's so funny. I don't it's
it
that's
is. It's so funny.
it's funny in a way, again, just bringing up Indiana Jones. It's fun in that Spielbergian kind of, we're aware this is a movie. Let's see how the ways we can kind of poke and prod you and kind of make you gasp and all this stuff.
Yes.
And again, it's got it's Robert Elswit, very famous. He works with Paul Thomas
Yeah.
Anderson a lot. So
Yeah.
that's a huge kind of get for this movie. If you're looking at There Will Be Blood and then Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, that's kind of a crazy kind of filmography. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Renner character, I loved him in this. The
I
scene
did
where
too. I thought Jeremy Renner was fantastic in it.
where
Yeah.
he's talking to Benji, he's got really good comedic timing when they're talking about you fall and I will catch you. It's that kind of thing. It's the way
Yes.
he's reacting to I'm gonna do what? You know, that kind it's really funny. And so I think Renner's got the chops. I like that he was in at least 3 of these.
Yeah, me too. I thought he was just a great member of the team,
Right.
and he's such a good actor in it too. I think the special effects are outstanding. I mean, the special effects I think overall are outstanding in the entire series. I thought that sandstorm that they did in Dubai, the Burj Khalifa,
Yeah.
so he goes, was it looked to me it just looked so good. Like this looks so real. I just loved it. Just really dazzled by it.
Well, again, it's Brad Bird's feature debut. Like I can't.
Wow, I just can't believe it.
I'm sure he had help, but it's still you can feel his humor and his.
Yes.
So I think the only thing that's negative about this, I can't even remember the Michael Nickbus, like the bad guy is so vanilla and so
Yeah.
one-dimensional in this that it doesn't, especially after Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then
Right.
Sean Harris was maybe my favorite villain in the whole series. So it's kind of weird having him in the middle here and just be a complete nothing.
Yeah.
But again, we're not really watching it for him, I guess.
Right.
So maybe my one negative is there's no real. I never felt that the team was actually in peril. It just was fun watching them.
Right.
Be in peril.
Right. Just watch them just kind of interacting with each other and having these crazy experiences. You know. Yeah. Yeah. Is it very good? Yeah. Well said. All right. So now we're getting into the Christopher McQuarrie takeover of it. His first film with in the series was Rogue Nation, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation in 2015, where he both writes and directs.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of Rogue Nation?
Rogue Nation is my favorite Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Ghost Protocol is great. I don't want anybody to get that wrong. That's the movie that really kicked everything into gear. That's the movie was like, this is my favorite franchise. Like, how are they making it better and better and better? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I really was excited to see this. Again, this is where they really, after the Burj Khalifa, they really started to play up those big stunts, right? And so Cruise on the side of that airplane was so much.
Yeah.
What is that? An Airbus A400M Atlas, I believe. But him just on the side. But the thing that I loved, Stanford, is that's the curtain raiser, right? They don't save it for later. They get that out of the way immediately because
yes.
What I love about this is it's really a step down. It's a more grounded reality version after the Looney Tunes stuff of Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
I like that this is a more tight, solid, because McQuarrie wasn't doing the big bombastic stuff yet. He was still doing Way of the Gun and things like that. And so he had and Jack Reacher, which I thought was a very tight movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that in this. I just think that it's a really good, maybe this is a spoiler for the rest of our conversation, but I prefer these Mission Impossibles where they're more spy oriented, where they're tighter and they're more personal. And obviously we got to mention Rebecca Ferguson.
Yes.
Who's the best thing to happen to the series since Tom Cruise, I think.
I agree. Absolutely. She's so good. And what a great character. And she's so good in this film.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great because she's just a match for Ethan, right? If you were to look at like the Batman, she's his Catwoman, right?
Yeah.
Like she's
absolutely.
The person. And I'm at the risk of making myself sound a little bit creepy. I mean, this is the one, like that yellow dress is something else.
She's gorgeous.
When we were watching the theater, there's a part where she like pulls the gun out and it's just a shot of her leg. And I think we saw it in the theater and I was sitting next to my wife and I gasped. It's one of those things where you realize you're sitting with your eternal companion. And you're like, oh, great. I just got myself in trouble. But I looked over and she patted my leg and she says, it's okay. Because, and I've been interacting with a couple people on Twitter. There was one of my lady friends that was like, that sounds weird, lady friend. Anyway, one of my friends was like, I said something like that. And she goes, look, I am a strict heterosexual woman. And that is one of the sexiest images I've ever seen. So
yeah, that's it was really, really sexy. And
right.
So well done.
You have Paula Patton, who has a nice dress reveal in the last one. You have Maggie Q, who had a good I have a crush on her, Maggie Q. You had her and with the Tandy Way Newton's obviously gorgeous. Emmanuel Bayart is gorgeous. So Cruise knows his ladies, right?
Absolutely. And in a way, not that they're Bond girls, but it has a James Bond feel to it
Yeah.
too, which I love. I mean,
Not
it's just
trying to be a James Bond movie. It just feels like a James Bond movie.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
absolutely, yeah.
So it has like I said, it has an identity of its own. It feels very McQuarrie, feels very, gritty and grounded. Again, we talked about Julia being a damsel in distress. Ilsa is not a damsel in distress. I love
Which
how
I really
she,
love and
yeah,
appreciate that. That was, I think, another reason why I really liked her character so much.
yeah. When she goes
Yeah,
and fights the Bone Doctor at the end, she doesn't get help from a man. A man doesn't come and help her.
no,
She does it herself, and she's
she's
just this
got skills
great,
and
smart,
determination. Yeah,
conflicted character. I love Ilsa Faust. I think she was the
yeah.
greatest kind of intro to this. And again, the Sean Harris character, I love that Solomon Lane is he's like the anti Ethan, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
a threat like we haven't felt since Felix Miller Hoffman, I think.
right. I think too, and again, even though as we discussed, the trajectory really gets set with the Mission Impossible 3. I feel like Christopher McQuarrie overall had a game plan,
Yeah.
and that stuff happens in these series. And even though I might not necessarily like some, like, I mean, especially like when Rebecca Ferguson's character gets
Mm.
off, that was horrible. But the spoiler alert, right? But I don't know. I felt like it was cohesive. It wasn't so much like, oh, we're gonna do this. Overall, I mean, I do have some issues with number 8, which we'll get to. But
Right.
what do you think though that's the case? Am I up the night on that, Darin, or what's your take on Christopher McQuarrie's game plan for the series?
Well, the thing that's interesting, and we'll talk when we get to Fallout, maybe is it he's I guess he's strengthening his chops as a director, right? I mean, they do have the plane sequence, they do have the motorcycle chase, which again, just little details really sell it. When Ethan rubs his leg against the pavement just really quick, it's like, oh, this can hurt. You know what I mean? There's these little
Yeah,
grace notes that they put in, very Spielbergian. I love that they have those things in there because it really sells that stuff. I don't know if there was a game plan like McQuarrie had in mind for this one because famously they were just doing one director at a time, and when he was rehired for Fallout, that was kind of a big deal that even he wasn't expecting. So when we get to Fallout, I think maybe there is a like something in mind that he has, especially when you look at the last two
yeah.
movies. But he's the thing I really love about this one and Fallout is even though it's the same director, it's a different feeling
It's a
movie. It's not the
different
same.
type of, yeah, exactly. It does not feel like it's just a rehash by
Yeah,
any means. Yeah,
yeah, and it's an embellishment of stuff that's in here. So
yeah.
great stuff.
And such cool location shooting.
Yeah.
I think in particularly in these McQuarrie films, I just wow.
Well, Casablanca, you can't really go. There's that Ilsa connection, right? So you
Yep,
can't go wrong with that.
exactly. So Fallout came 3 years later in 2018. Uh, I I particularly am fond of Fallout.
um,
I
It's great, right?
Yeah,
There's these three Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout are like the high point. If most franchises don't even have a movie as good as any one of these, let alone three that
yeah,
are this good.
3 and all in a row.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
might be why the next two after it were really kind of crushing in a way because they didn't really live up to the
right,
trajectory of where you thought they would go. But
right.
there's a critic again that I follow besides you, Stanford. The other critic that I follow is Film Crit Hulk. I don't know if you read any of his stuff,
Yeah, yes, I'm
but
aware. Yeah,
he did an essay on this movie about it's called it Mission Impossible Fallout is a master class in dramatic tension. This is what I'm talking about with McQuarrie. It's not just a simple spy movie. It has escalating stakes. Each action scene, it's spinning plates like the other Mission Impossibles really weren't quite there yet. You have Benji and Ilsa fighting Solomon Lane. You have as Ethan is in the helicopters fighting the Henry Cable character. I forget his name. Let me just look this up really quick. The August Walker who ends up turning out to
yes,
be the Lark, John Lark. But so they have that stuff, but it's so tense because one thing happens after another thing. Like it just builds and builds and builds, and you're watching these action scenes and you don't realize that you're clenching your seat, like you're white knuckling your armchairs,
Yeah.
right? Because it's so I don't know. Does that make sense? It just
Yeah,
feels like
absolutely.
he's McQuarrie is really honing his action chops here to really make it work. And like I said, each action sequence is so sweat inducing, and it's because of the drama, how each thing builds upon another thing. It's not just one thing and you're satisfied doing one thing. It's multiple things going at once.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so true. So true. It's so well said. Um, what? Okay, so then we jump, and it's interesting to just to be reminded of these time frames, because some of these sequels came out like 3 years after each other, and then some of them were like 5 or 6,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem like that there's that long in between these films, but you know they
Right.
are. They're not just necessarily back to back, even though they kind of feel that way in some ways.
I think too with Fallout, maybe was the last one where I was impressed with it visually.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that
Fallout
makes
was.
sense.
Oh no, I was too. I thought Henry Cavill was terrific
Yeah, yeah,
in Fallout, and just those. It looked so good, and the action scenes were, I just thought, just excellent.
yeah.
It's such a good film.
And it's Rob Hardy doing the cinematography here. He's an Alex Garland guy. So again,
Okay,
very
yeah,
very nice like pedigree for these movies. I just think that there's just a real dynamic look to this movie, and everything about it is so perfect. I think my only flaw with this one is there's moments, because when this movie came out, people were comparing it to Mad Max Fury Road, and I was like, wait, I don't know if it's that good. You know what I mean? But the thing is, this, aside from two parts, there's a part where Alec Baldwin, who reprising his role from the last one, is basically talking to Ethan about, he basically spells out what Ethan's whole MO is, like in a monologue, like, you will not sacrifice. And I'm like, I don't need you to tell me this. Like, I get it. Like, why are you talking to me about this?
yeah,
Right. And then
yeah.
later when Luther is explaining to Ilsa what she means to Ethan, I'm like, I don't need this either. Like, why are you talking through this stuff? You know what I mean? I get all this visually. Like, if you're looking at, when you look at action movies, Stanford, I think you're in action movies like we talked about with Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is defined by the action that he takes. He fights dirty. He uses everything that's around him to fight. Like, it doesn't matter as long as he wins, right? But that defines his character. Everything that he does, from shooting the swordsman to hanging on the edge of a tank, right, is Indiana Jones. And
Yes.
Ethan, again, I love the idea that he won't sacrifice, which you get from the first scene in here. He won't sacrifice Luther. Why do we need Alec Baldwin to come in and tell us that's what was happening? It's like, I get that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's a scene in this that's so good where Ethan has to be the bad guy to work with the Vanessa Kirby character, right? And
Yes.
he's trying to figure out, he's double crosses her so he doesn't have to kill people. And then he and Lark and Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, they're in the car and they open this garage door and there's a cop that's there, right? I feel bad. It's Benji and Luther. I should have said their characters, but there's a female cop that's there that
Yeah.
catches him red-handed, right?
Yep.
And he has the choice, like, to shoot her. He doesn't want to shoot her, but if he has to, like, he is trying to de-escalate it so he won't have to. But then the other bad guys come up and they shoot her instead. And he takes out, because they're going to kill this cop, he takes out all 3 or 4 of the henchmen,
Yeah.
and because that is Ethan, and it's
Yeah.
defined, these little action beats define who Ethan is. And I think that's missing in a lot of action movies, where you feel like the thing with Mad Max, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, Stanford, is it didn't rely on dialogue for the action or what anybody's like motives were. Like, you got that from everything that they did, every
Yeah.
action that
Every
they took.
action of the character. Yeah. This is the character did right.
Yeah. And
Shows who they. It shows who they are.
exactly. I really miss that. I know that Ethan is a two-dimensional character or whatever, but like we talked about, so is Indiana Jones. Like, they just do what they do. Like, they have no really deeper connection to anything besides that. But that's all you need. You just need a clothesline to hang these action scenes on.
I love how you bring that up though, because I agree. I think it happens in a lot of the films, but that particular scene in Fallout, when Ethan takes out those henchmen with that cop,
Yeah.
it just shows. I don't know. You just love him even more.
Yeah.
You just think what a noble, good dude this is,
Right.
and and I think that's what's so appealing too, is that Ethan is never really is the anti-hero, right? Or I mean, he's complicated, but in a lot of ways he's not, and isn't that fun to
Yeah.
have a character like that?
But again, Mission Impossible 2 is not that. Like it's really
No,
weird how it's
Mission
not the
Impossible
same.
is just weird. It just almost just seems like it's it's just like this enigma or this this film that just doesn't fit. One of these things is not like the other, and it's
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 2. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So now then we jump to 2023 for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, or the movie that would never end. In my opinion, what's your take on Dead Reckoning? And should we say the original title, Dead Reckoning Part One?
Right. Well, again, famously, it's weird how there's all this drama going on behind. This took place this came out after Top Gun Maverick, which again was very famous for the way that Cruise just spearheaded that whole thing, would not release it to streaming, kept it until there was a good time to move it to theaters. And then he planned it perfectly. When Top Gun Maverick came out, that was, I think, the dinner bell. I know that the Spider-Man movie with all the Spider-Man, all the Spider-Man, as I like to call it, it's like that was fun, but that's Marvel, right? People are just going to go in the seats to see all these spider. I just think that Top Gun Maverick is one of those movies that movies were actually made for.
Yep,
And
absolutely agree.
I think I've watched it at least 3 dozen times since that one came out, Stanford. And
wasn't it the best? I mean, it's so good, Darren.
yeah.
I watched it a bunch myself, and every time, I mean, I just absolutely love that movie.
Well, I don't know if it's because you film critics, you have to see every movie that comes out, right? You're all famously movie sluts, as you like to say, right? But when you have to see movie after movie after movie, some of these movies you don't give them a chance, or you don't have the opportunity to let them sink in and really appreciate what they did. Top Gun Maverick, me and Elizabeth went to go see it 4 times in a theater. Like, that's
Yeah,
unprecedented.
it was just such a great film going experience, you know?
Right. And then and I think what happened is I think Top Gun Maverick ruined movies for me. Because every movie now is like, well, it wasn't as good as
It
Top
wasn't
Gun
as good
Maverick.
as Top Gun Maverick. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I hear you.
So I think that really had I think my expectations, number one, were just way too
Oh,
high
they
with
were
Dead Reckoning.
super high. Yeah,
And just something about the movie felt off from almost the very first frame. Maybe not the first frame. You have the whole thing with the submarine, which great, that's a good curtain raiser. But then you have another curtain raiser where it's Ethan like dealing with the guy that brings him the mission or whatever. And then you have another curtain raiser where it's Ilsa in the desert and he has to protect her. And then you have another curtain raiser where so it just seemed that whole first sequence seemed endless.
yeah.
Where all of a sudden it's like, oh, the title sequence is 28 minutes into the movie. What is happening? Like, why is what is the reason for this? So
Exactly.
where it went wrong for me, where you see it's weird because the way that Cruise plays his first scene, it's like very downbeat, like he's at the end of his rope, like he doesn't want to. It's like sad. It's all in the dark, or whatever. So that was kind of interesting way to start it. But then Ilsa, when she's in the desert wherever they are, and she's again gone rogue, like for the third time, she's still on the run. And from that moment, I was like, wait, what is she just? Is that it for this character? Is there nothing else she can do? Like, do they not have a plan for her? And then you cut to the scene in the meeting, and everything is so super serious. Why does everyone say their lines like this? And I'm like,
Yeah,
what is happening? Like, you cut all the stuff out, you could make the movie 45 minutes shorter.
yeah. It was
And
so frustrating.
then they do when Cruise takes off his mask and the big Mission Impossible thing. I'm like, yeah, I knew that was him. Like, why are we spending 30 seconds, with the mission, looking at his face? I just thought it was so po-faced and so super serious. Like, all of a sudden, it felt like we're making a Mission Impossible movie, and isn't it awesome that it's a Mission Impossible movie? And aren't you awesome for watching a Mission Impossible movie? This is awesome. And I'm like, well. I haven't felt this way. I really think this is the movie that's the most full of itself since the second one. I don't know. Maybe it's the hubris. Maybe it's just overconfidence. What do you think?
you know, all of the above, Darren. It. Uh, I really. I thought that the entity was just a really, just. I mean, this is so inelegant. Just a dumb villain.
Yeah.
nothing that interesting. So apocalyptic, and again on such a grand scale that it to me it just made it uninteresting. And I honestly, for me too, I just felt like every action sequence just went on way too long. I did like the car chase scene where they're handcuffed and in Rome, driving around in that Fiat 500.
That's beautiful and so fun.
It's really fun, and I love Rome.
Yeah.
We might have talked about this. I served an LDS mission in Rome, and so it has a special place in my heart for that. And it just plus it's Rome,
You vacation for 2 years in Rome?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. The shadow of the Vatican, but I don't know. I never, as much as I like Haley Atwell.
Mm-hmm.
I just never really liked her as a character in this. I didn't think I thought that Rebecca Ferguson she should have been the one to stay on through.
Right.
But anyway, and then it's dazzling, but never ending that train sequence at the end.
Right.
Again, I was wowed by the technical aspects of it and just how good the CGI looked and how exciting it was for him to overcome these incredibly impossible things.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just like, are you kidding me? There's another car. There's like another car that they have to go through. It just like went on and on and on. Yeah. I just couldn't wait for it to be over.
Well, I think that's the only part where maybe you and I thought the train sequence was, because visually, I love that each train was like a different danger.
Yeah, exactly. No, but
too many.
And I think I'm being a jerk. But and maybe I was just hungry, or something. Was just like, okay, can we eat? Can we eat? But still, technically, absolutely dazzling. Such just so impressive.
Well, it's Fraser Taggart doing the cinematography for this one, and he does the next one. The cinematography is weird because if you're looking at some of the dialogue scenes, there's like a lot of over-the-shoulder shots that are very usual for movies. And when you watch, it's very classical Hollywood. Like you have one character on the left side of the screen and another character on the right, and so you get that they're kind of talking to each other. That's basic film language, right? The scene in this where Ethan is talking to Luther about don't kill Gabriel. I know that he killed Ilsa, but you got to let him live because the all-seeing, all-knowing entity or whatever that you're fighting like has has your number or whatever. And the way that it's shot is weird because you'll have Luther on the left, then it'll also be Ethan on the left. And then you'll do that for a bit. It'll cut back and it'll have Luther on the right and then Ethan on the left still. And then it'll cut back and then Ethan will be on the right and then it'll be a different. I'm like, what is your plan here for the way that you're shooting these scenes? Like, I don't, you're, and again, this is very nitpicky stuff, but it just was really weird. Like the visual language of this wasn't for me to notice stuff like that is a little bit weird.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what you're saying. It just, I don't know, it just didn't feel right, and I didn't know if part of that was that they were going for this 2-part supposed finale, right? Or at least this truly a 2-part film, even though there's been a lot of continuity, right, in these films. This one was, they were very blatant about it, and I guess until they weren't. But I don't know. I really don't. I just don't care for that. Dead Reckoning much at all. Yeah.
There's a couple. I love when obviously the thing with Ilsa, and this really ties in with my problem with franchises is there's a point where you realize they're going on too long. Like how many times we need to see him on a motorcycle, right? How many times we need to see him on top of the speeding train? It's like it's just repeating. It feels like a greatest hits package because you've done everything already. There's nothing else you can do, right? And so, especially with Ilsa's character, and again, famously, Ferguson did not want to do it because she was like, I'm bored with this. Like, there's nowhere else for it to go, right? And so just write me out. I don't want to do these anymore. So you have to respect that. Like, she wants to do other things. But it's the same thing I was talking about. It's like, I don't feel like she had anything to do. If you're just going to do the same thing over and over and over again, I don't know. yeah, maybe not kill her like that, but I don't know. I just felt like she would have not contributed anything else to the movie. Like she was such a strong character in Fallout and Rogue Nation. She just felt
Yeah,
really weak in this one.
yeah. It's like I mean, she became so because she was so great and so interesting in those two films, and then to how things panned out for in Dead Reckoning, yeah, I didn't think it worked.
Right.
Yeah,
And I don't care for. I really love, like you said, the Venice sequence. That chase is great. I think I like the train stuff. I like the ambition of it, but I don't know what's going on in the middle. I know we talked about like Mission Impossible being confusing in the first one, but I don't. It's either it's too much or I just don't care like what's happening.
yeah. Again, I think some of it for me is just the entity,
Uh-huh.
stuff. The plot just for me just became so convoluted, but ultimately just uninteresting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the only cool character connection, I love that he saves Grace. She's frustrated because she keeps running away and getting things. She does it maybe one too many times. Like you could have dealt with like one less time of her running away and making everybody kind of panic.
yeah,
But I love that there's two scenes in here where Ethan is talking to somebody like, you don't even know who I am. And he goes, what does that matter? Like, this is just me. Right. And she has tears in her eyes, the Grace character, because
yeah,
she doesn't understand why somebody would care for her life like this. And it's the same thing with the Paris killer character later, the Palm Clementif, when he saves her in the alley. He doesn't kill her. And then when she's been stabbed and she helps him on the train, she's like, why did you save my life? And again, she's got tears in her eyes
yeah.
because she can't believe that somebody's actually caring for
Somebody,
her.
yeah, somebody actually did something, kind of noble and compassionate for her. Yeah,
Yeah, that stuff's
yeah,
great. It's just everything in the middle of all that is just nonsense. and
right.
and like hours and hours of nonsense it
And
feels
it's
like. I
so
agree.
long. I think too. That's my big beef with these with these last two films is just
Right.
the runtime.
Right.
Oh, too much for me.
Right.
Well, that leads us into the Final Reckoning, which we both just saw last
Okay.
weekend. And I, well, tell me what's your take on it was, Darren. What did you think?
A lot of my complaints about Dead Reckoning are here. It's kind of the same
Yeah,
thing. It's Macquarie. If you're looking at Rogue Nation and Fallout as being these really tight but ambitious and really really impactful action movies, but at an hour less, it seems like. I don't understand what the like we were driving home and my wife was like, I kind of want to watch the first one again just to remind myself how it all started. I'm like, that's going to be crazy because we're going from a nuclear holocaust to just breaking into Langley and stealing a floppy disk, right? That's nuts. But this is
right.
what we have to. It's so big that where can the series go from here? Like it's literally the world at stake, and we're
Yeah, the
seeing like
world is truly at stake.
countries like fire up their rockets and things like that, and
Yeah,
it's so much. And again, it does the thing where it's like I'm didn't time it, but like half an hour before the credits start. And the thing, I get where they put the credits in Dead Reckoning, but I'm like, why did it take so long to get there? They could
yeah,
have moved that title sequence to anywhere,
I
and
know.
instead of where they had it.
It was what 25 minutes into it. I mean, I remember looking at my
Too
watch,
long.
just thinking, "And what time did the movie start?" And this is when the opening credits are going. Yeah,
Right.
the first. So this movie is what 2 hours and 50 minutes long.
Oh, it's long. Yeah.
Um, that first hour, I felt like I was in that entity box.
Yeah.
That Tom Cruise goes into. I was
Yeah.
so miserable. It was a combination of boredom, but also just like this thing is going so big. Just as you just eloquently said, just that it's going for the nuclear destruction of the world, and Ethan is the only person who can save the world. You know, uh,
It's a god literally fighting a god, fighting
yeah,
another god.
and it just I don't know. I thought I was frankly I was mad until the action really kicked in the second hour.
Well,
Um,
the thing with the movie is I think it makes sense. It builds and on sequence after sequence. I get all that,
Absolutely. I mean, there is exposition that's happening.
but
Yeah,
there's so much shoe leather to really get it until we really get going. There's so much, and I'm like, couldn't you have really pared a lot of this down? I we talked about this. I'm not a fan of the fan service stuff. It wasn't as annoying as I thought it was going to be. I didn't need all the flashbacks of the previous movies.
Yeah.
And when people compare it to Rise of Skywalker, I still think that's unfair, but it does this kind of same thing where it's like, why are we bringing this back? I don't need to be reminded of this stuff. You know what
Right.
I mean? And I didn't. The only thing that worked was the Rolf Saxon character as Don, though, because first of all, I didn't expect him to be a good actor. He doesn't really get a chance to shine in that first Mission Impossible, but I like that he
I like
plays
that
a
too.
part, right? And
Yeah.
that worked.
And a really good part. And it wasn't like revenge, you know? In fact, what Ethan did, I love that how what Ethan did, like, put his life on a really happy trajectory for him, you know, and he's grateful. I thought that was so surprising. That was I really did enjoy that. Yeah.
Well, that's the point of this movie, really. If you're going to end it, it's like, yeah, Ethan has done all these things, so I get why they did all this. It makes sense structurally. I just didn't need you to constantly flash
Oh
back and show me things. I didn't need all
well,
that. I got
it's too much, and again, so long, and that
it.
again that first hour, honestly, I really it was all I could do just to still stay in my seat. But
Right.
then I think what you know where Christopher McQuarrie really shines is in these action sequences.
Yeah.
That Tom Cruise trying to retrieve that drive or whatever that thing is from the submarine.
Uh-huh.
I thought it. I anxious to hear what you thought. I thought it was absolutely thrilling. I was absolutely dazzled by it by that, and maybe again I was just like, oh my gosh, finally an action sequence with after all this stuff that I just don't want to see or hear.
Well,
But was it too much? What did you think?
the fact that it took so long to get there is what my main problem with the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, absolutely.
It's way, and maybe people like that. Maybe this is like
Ugh.
Avengers Endgame of the Mission Impossible series. I like my shit pared down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But okay, so the interesting thing is if you're looking at this series, it's so the first Mission Impossible, it's Brian De Palma. Obviously, it has the Odessa Step sequence from Potemkin. It has the for Fifi silent heist. Mission Impossible 2 is a notorious kind of ripoff for with Ethan as the Cary Grant character, Tendaway Newton as the Ingrid Bergman character. There's a part in Mission Impossible 2, like I said, it's my favorite part. But when he leaves Naya and he turns to her and says, "Just stay alive. I'm not going to lose you." That's like almost directly lifted from Last of the Mohicans. I thought that was really funny. Just the same scene. Mission Impossible 3 has the scene on the bridge was very reminiscent of True Lies. There's a similar scene in True Lies where
Absolutely.
the same kind of stuff happens. There's rockets, there's helicopters, things like that. Maybe not helicopters, but more jets. And then when Ethan crashes into the building, and there's when he's trying to retrieve the rabbit's foot, and there's the janitor that's looking at him. That's another thing that's from True Lies, right? Ghost Protocol is interesting. Off the top of my head, I don't know a movie that it rips off. Maybe that's what makes it so.
That's what's
original.
so original about it. It's just so fresh. Yeah.
Right. Rogue Nation has another motorcycle, one motorcycle. There's another motorcycle sequence in Fallout. So
in Fallout, I was getting those kind of in my brain confused too. I was like, I did a rewatch on some of these ones, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's from this movie,
right? I think with Rogue Nation and Fallout, it kind of started becoming derivative of itself instead of other movies.
Yeah.
Not that that's a huge complaint. It's just something that I noticed. But then Dead Reckoning, it literally has a part where they're on top of a train, and it's nowhere as visceral and exciting as the De Palma scene in Mission Impossible, even though that was done on a soundstage. Why does that feel more dangerous than this one does?
Right. Exactly. I'm with you.
And so you get to the part with the submarine. That's the Abyss. That's almost exactly the Abyss.
Yes.
I'm not sure what the fascination with James Cameron is with these.
It really had a James Cameron feel to it too. Right. Yeah.
But I don't want to complain. I think it was a very tense because he's by himself. Like he has to go with. I love the whole build of the missiles, kind of the torpedoes like falling on each other in the water, and you just every time they bang into each other.
That was really. And I think I was so hungry for some action. It was just like finally, and I thought that sequence really delivered.
It's beautifully done.
I was amazed. And maybe this is James Cameron in a way too, even though maybe he'd do it digitally. But I wonder how much of that was a practical set there in the submarine, because I thought it just looked terrific.
They shot it in the water tanks at Long Cross Studios.
Okay.
So it was it's not like they You know what, Stanford? I would not be surprised if they actually went scouting for a sunken submarine and then filmed inside. That's what's great about this. It's Tom Cruise doing Buster Keaton or Jackie Chan. It's like it's amazing watching him do this.
Yeah.
No threat.
And speaking of, then let's jump to that biplane scene that I think I just had the biggest smile on my face through that kind of triple climax going on in there. But I thought that biplane scene was so unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
I almost forgave Christopher McQuarrie for that first hour. I didn't quite. But
you thought about it.
Wow. I just thought, okay, this is worth the price of admission, even though I really haven't liked much of this film. This was amazing to me. What did you think of it, Darin?
Well, let me just sum that up by saying, like, even if you don't like the movie as a total, even though people are pushing back on it, I still think you need to see this in a theater. See it on an
absolutely.
IMAX screen. It looks. This is what again.
I saw it on IMAX too. I was so wowed by it.
Perfect. So
yeah, you too. You saw it on IMAX?
No, we didn't. We saw it in a regular theater.
Okay, but still on the big screen. On the big screen, right?
Yeah. And this is what we go to movies for, regardless of what else happens. Like for 3 hours at least, I forgot all my troubles of the world that I was going through, right? That's a big compliment. And yeah, the movie doesn't really work a lot of the time, but the fact that we're so invested in that biplane chase says a lot, I think, for the movie itself, that it makes you feel, because I've watched action movies, Stanford, especially Indiana Jones, some of the later Indiana Jones ones, 2 specifically, where I don't feel anything. What I'm seeing, I'm not involved. I'm not intellectually stimulated. I'm not, there's nothing. I'm not white knuckling anything watching some of these movies. The fact, first of all, I really love that as big as the series is getting, and this again, the climax is a copy of Fallout, right? You have the team doing something, but you also have Ethan doing something by himself. It's not nearly as good as Fallout. But when it cuts and it's just the biplane stuff, when the team has done their job and they're just waiting for Ethan to do it, I can't tell you how many times I gasped and was just, oh man. And
me too. I was just giddy almost.
Yeah,
I was just loving it so much.
But the fact that it's very analog, it brings it back down, so it's not like fighting on a submarine, with laser guns. It's literally just on 2 planes.
I love that too.
Decades, right?
That I thought that was such a great creative choice. In that, these 2 old school planes, and that's what is the big climactic battle. Yeah, they're not in these fancy jets or something, some other kind of crazy vehicle from the from the near future or whatever. This was, and it felt in a lot of ways kind of like old school filmmaking in a way. There was also just some really dazzling camera work, and what Tom Cruise put himself through some of those things. It looked. I think I read that he passed out a few times doing some of these stunts.
I wouldn't surprise me,
and I wouldn't be surprised because just how he looked, I thought, okay, this is this is real. Like he's really getting worked.
Yeah, and you can look at Gabriel as kind of a downer, kind of not a great villain, but I like the idea.
I thought he was a good villain.
Ethan's whole point is like he will not sacrifice people to accomplish the mission, right? But Gabriel is constantly putting people in situations where they have to sacrifice.
They have to.
Killing Luther off, I guess you have to kill some character off. I really felt that. That was really sad to see him go. I like that he stopped it by having him sick.
Yeah, I did too, but that was still. I felt it was inevitable, but still a bummer.
Yeah. Well, he went out on his own terms.
But he did, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then he gets to come back and give like the greatest speech ever,
Right.
That I want a transcript, of that great speech that he's giving at the end of the film. I thought that was terrific.
Well, I guess my only pushback at that is as soon as he says, like, when you're all done, there's a message for you on here. I'm like, oh, how many movies have wrapped up with like a message from somebody who's dead and they're kind of, wrapping everything up and putting the series in perspective. So that part a little bit, I'm like, okay, I saw that.
Yeah, I know, I hear you. But it self-destructs, which kind of made me happy.
That was cool.
That made me,
But during that plane stuff, best ever. I realized halfway through that I was subconsciously putting my arms up like I was on a roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. It was such a ride, and it just the best sense of the word. So I I was so again, I just absolutely. Sorry, I keep using the same word. I really was dazzled. That's the only word that kept coming to mind as I was watching it, with the submarine sequence and that biplane. That thankfully that happened to help me kind of forget that horrible first hour. Although which I won't forget. Which I won't forget.
Right.
I thought Angela Bassett was fantastic. I mean, I think she's typically always good.
Always, yeah.
But
Always has been.
But it's just like Angela Bassett for president. I mean, she was so. I thought she was fantastic. What did you think of her performance in this film?
Madam President, yeah, I would vote for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really. I'm not an Oscar person, you know that about me. It seems like when Jamie Lee Curtis won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, it was more of a legacy Oscar, which
Right.
fine, give her flowers or whatever. But if you watch just that monologue of Angela Bassett in Black Panther 2, and she eats everybody alive in just one dialogue scene.
Yep.
So in here, I like that. Yeah, she's a no nonsense president. I love looking at her face. I love looking at her whole aura. She's just got such command of the screen. I like that idea of like she keeps talking about her son, and then it does that thing at the end where the army guys step back and her son's just standing
and
there.
her son is there.
And
I love that.
Perfectly with Luther talking about for those we never meet, like we're keeping the world safe. And I really, it's just funny that it's literally like Ethan as a god versus the anti-god, and it's weird how the entity is less of a personality in this one.
Yes, exactly. I'm with you. You know, one thing too about which I really liked with some of those scenes as they were negotiating, or as the U.S. was thinking, what are we going to do here? With these nuclear arsenals.
Yeah.
I loved the just the camera shots that McQuarrie was doing with those dialogue scenes. I thought that those were creative and interesting. You know how he'd kind of have the camera in a different place and very dramatic kind of lighting, very stylistic lighting. I thought that really worked. Again, right. and it really worked. I just thought it really worked with the performances.
Yeah.
You know, particularly Angela Bassett. I mean, who's great from any angle, but I don't know. I just thought the way that, again, just everything about that was great. And I thought it was a very satisfying thing that she ends up doing.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't necessarily expect that. I wasn't sure what was. Of course, that was the whole point, right? We're all kind of sitting on the edge of seeing what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. For her to take that stance, and maybe it's just because I'm a church boy, but that just also felt like a very religious kind of decision in the best sense of the word.
Yeah. Somebody on Twitter, it's what is this person's name? I want to make sure that it's at SP4CE Cop, so it looks like at Space Cop. He basically summed up the ending, says that, or the submarine scene, by saying Ethan is reborn and cleansed in the water after stripping away everything that held him down, created by the world, and is saved by grace. And again, he's going after the anti-god.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the key is in the form of a cross.
Of a cross, yeah.
So there are some very heavy religious aspects in this, which is again weird for a Scientologist being in charge of the movie. But
it is weird, yeah. But that's a good point. Really good points.
Gabriel, the angel Gabriel.
Yes.
Right. So there's again all these movies have really good themes. Even if the movies aren't that good, they still have some good themes and some good character ideas.
Yeah.
The connective tissue doesn't always work. I think that's the main issue that we're looking at here.
What did you think overall, like with Grace too? Because one of the things I had wondered is that, again, just comparing to Rebecca Ferguson, who had mad skills.
Yeah.
Grace's quote unquote skill is that she's just a really good thief, right?
Yeah.
But they used that, right? That was that ended up being part of the story. And I was thinking, well, okay, maybe Christopher McQuarrie actually did have a game plan with this character.
Right, and you can't compare to Rebecca Ferguson, obviously. I like that she had an arc in Dead Reckoning, how she's just a member of nothing, and then at the end, I choose to accept being a part of the IMF team. It's like, she's not
Yeah,
running anymore, she's part of she has a
yeah,
goal. She doesn't take the White Widow's money, right? She turns it
right,
down, she's in for a bigger cause. I just think I liked her in this one, I like that she's there to again, to save Ethan, but she just becomes another member of the team. There's not really a lot of different
right.
personality to
True.
it,
Yeah,
which is weird for a 3-hour movie. You'd think there'd be a lot more meat on the bone from that, I think. I think the high point of the movie is the Pom Clemente like yanking on Simon Pegg's ear to wake him back up. I thought that was really
oh my
funny.
stars, that was great. I'm so glad you brought her, because she was a great addition, I thought, to the team too. And I loved, how she was always speaking French, and
Right.
just that, to me, I thought worked well.
I like how Benji is like, have you done surgery before? And she's like, I kill people, right? But she has an arc there. Instead of killing people, she actually saves Benji's life.
She saves his life.
So
Yeah,
that's cool. I like that. There's some good
yeah, I
character
did
stuff
too.
in
I like that as well.
I think the thing is, and I think we talked about this before, Stanford, is movies aren't perfect. You know what I mean? Just because we're not a fan of this movie as a whole does not mean that there's not good stuff in it. You know what I mean? There's good stuff in Dead Reckoning. There's good stuff in Mission Impossible too. It's just some movies drive with us better than others, right? I don't like the idea these days that it's either you love it or you hate it. There's no in between. It's like movies are nuanced, people are
Yeah,
nuanced. You're
yeah,
gonna like different things. So I can't I don't know. I can't write off this movie in total, and I can't appreciate people that write off this movie.
yeah. I agree. I can't write it off either, because again, as much as I loathe the first hour, I really, really enjoyed the second and third
Yeah,
hours of the film. I thought that
yeah.
they were just knockouts.
What you go to movies for, right?
Yeah.
Not to be confused, but to be swept up in images. Yeah,
And I think too, I mean, yeah, I really appreciate what you're saying, because it's not a perfect series by any stretch of the imagination, but there's so much to like about it.
yeah,
And it's provided just I just feel like these films have provided just a lot of great entertainment,
right.
and I respect that a lot.
Yeah,
They're not necessarily trying to change the world, although they do have, I think, some noble aspects to them,
right.
as we've discussed. But uh, just solid entertainment, and I think that's what I've appreciated too about Tom Cruise's latest way of how he markets his films.
Right.
It's all about, you're going to the movie theater and you're having a great time, and I really feel like overall they deliver on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
they have for pretty much the entire
right.
run of the series.
30 years. It's weird how the May
Wow.
22nd, 1996 plays a part in the movie. I thought that
Yeah.
was why that was really weird, but that's yeah, obviously the opening date for the first Mission Impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But
What?
I love this franchise. You're right. Like there's so much to love about and the ambition and the different things that they try. And yeah, it took a while for them to find their feet, but once they did, we as much as we don't love Dead Reckoning and the Final Reckoning, we have Rogue Nation and Ghost Protocol
Yeah.
and Fallout as the high points. Man, if you can have high points like that,
I know, right? Holy smokes!
well,
What do you think's gonna? I just as a bit of a side note before we get into our rankings, Dare, what do you think's going to happen to the Mission Impossible franchise?
well, it's a name that's going to keep going, and I think people are going to be there. Like I said, I have no idea what more they can do after nuclear holocaust. Like you're really going to have to build.
We got to go back to basics. We're just breaking into a building.
Yeah, we went to go eat brunch with my parents and family the day that we actually saw this. Like we were going to go see it later that day,
Yeah.
and my parents, have you seen the new Mission Impossible yet? I'm like, no, but we're going today. And they're like, well, is this the last one? I'm like, yeah, I think so. I'm like, why would it be the last one? I'm like, well, Tom Cruise is like 70 years old. Like he can't keep doing this forever. Like
Yeah.
the thing is like, yeah, we go to see him in these movies, but he's a good actor, and
He's a very good actor.
I
Yeah.
like that he's doing other things and he's got other plans, and I think people need to go see him not just for the IP stuff. I think he's that good. But I think
Agreed.
just the way people are today, it has to be a brand, otherwise they don't get in the theater. And I don't know if Tom Cruise, he's our great last movie star, but I don't know if he's a brand like Marvel is a brand or Hunger Games is a brand.
Yeah, I saw something on Instagram, and again, who knows if it was true, and I can't even remember what the feed was, but it was something saying that the only person that Tom Cruise wants to carry on the Mission Impossible franchise is Glenn Powell.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Again, all I saw was that image. I didn't bother to click on it, even if it's just clickbait or what. I don't know, but I mean, I wonder if that if there are some other things in mind, because I just think, as I was thinking, as all the characters, I really did love the send off too. How how in some of the films they get together and they talk, right?
Right.
But in this one, they literally there they were at Trafalgar Square, and they all just kind of looked at each other and acknowledged each other, and then went into the darkness. And I love that, because again, it just leaves it open, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It ends in a way that they're going to continue on. They're going to have more missions, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a question of whether we get to see those missions or not. And if they're going to be giant scaled, are they going to go to Mars? I don't know.
That's right. They're going to save the Earth from aliens, or who knows, who knows what, right? But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see, but mostly, what a great ride.
Yeah.
What a great ride. What a terrific franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So how we discussed before we started that we were going to give our top 5.
Right.
Of these 8 films. So I guess we should probably start with our number 5.
Okay.
Then does that sound like a good way to do it, Dare?
That sounds fun. Yeah.
Okay. So please, what's your number 5? As far as your favorite Mission Impossible films.
I'm surprised. I actually have Mission Impossible 3 as my number 5. And it's like we talked about here. It's just because it's very personal and pared down, and it feels most like the TV series. And it really started like the trajectory of the series where it needed to go. I just think it's a fun movie that I'm not annoyed by J.J. Abrams with.
Yeah. It's just saying something, right? Yeah, I have, and I'm very specific about this, Darin. I have the last 2 hours of The Final Reckoning.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, the first hour, I may never see it again, but the last 2 hours, wow, loved them so much.
Even if it was just that biplane sequence at the end, I'd be like, yes, yeah, that was worth it. That was
absolutely. Watch that again in a heartbeat.
Right.
Just amazing. Okay, cool. What about then? What do you have at number 4?
I've got the first Mission Impossible as number 4. I think De Palma has a really strong voice, and it's a really small. Again, it's going to be crazy watching that again without nuclear holocaust happening. But as a De Palma nerd, as a movie brats nerd, I just like that was his maybe his most successful mainstream movie, and it still does all the things that his other movies do, just on a PG-13 scale. I think it's a great start for a franchise that would build on itself.
Yeah. Agreed. Good call. I have actually Mission Impossible 3 at number 4. Yeah,
good choice.
Just for all the reasons that you stated right. So well. Okay, number 3.
Number 3 is Ghost Protocol. A lot of people, it's weird when you go on Twitter and you do your rankings. People are like, "Why do you have it so low?" And I'm like, "Well, that's my ranking."
It's like, hello, it's my ranking.
Why do you need my ranking to match your ranking? Aren't you bored with that? Don't you think that's dumb? Like, what? That doesn't cause it's just us kind of mutually smiling at each other. That doesn't cause conversations.
Right.
But my top 3, you can interchange them. Really, it just depends on when I'm watching them.
Yeah,
so great.
I'm with you. And in fact, I wonder if we have the same top 3, just given our conversation, but we'll have to see, maybe in a little different order. Because my number 3 is Rogue Nation.
Okay, perfect.
And again,
why do you have it so low?
I don't know why I have it so low. Exactly. It's so good. It's just it's so well crafted. I just like the other 2 films that I have. I like them better.
Yeah.
So it's just, as you said, it's just this very personal decision. And I'm not saying this is like gospel truth either. It's just, this is just what I enjoyed the most.
It's in your top 5, so I'm okay with that. Like, I mean?
Okay. Good. Okay, good. All right, what do you have then at number 2?
Number 2, I have Fallout. Again, it's yeah, it's a progression of McQuarrie's previous Mission Impossible. I like we talked about, it's just that dramatic build and tension, and it's just such a good nail biting movie. And it's yeah, I just think that is the as weird as it is to say about the movie that's my number 2. I think that's the apex of the Mission. That's what you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
from a Mission Impossible movie. I just think it's great.
It's my number 2 as well.
Oh,
It's
perfect.
it's it's so solid. Uh, there's not a thing that I really dislike about the film. I love that bathroom fight scene, where Henry Cavill like shakes his arms as like he's like, cocking a
Yeah,
gun,
talking a gun.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
so great.
it's all great. And then just that big climactic battle is so exciting.
Yeah.
Everything about it is just we talked about the cinematography. It's so stylish, so well crafted. Rebecca Ferguson. I mean, I go on and on and on. It's just terrific. So I think so. I mean, we'll see. So what do you have at number 1? And I wonder if you can where we've got. This is probably where we have, of course, maybe a little difference.
Well, I already spoiled it. I said that this is my favorite one. It's Rogue
Yeah,
Nation.
yeah,
Trajectory wise, just after Ghost Protocol, the highs of that, it's so great doing a pared down spy movie, and then it's got the yellow dress. I mean, the Rebecca Ferguson factor.
yeah.
It's got the again. I just have a real good time. Jeremy Renner and Ving Rhames have good chemistry.
Yes, they are so good.
I like the Solomon Lane villain. He's the best villain because again, he's the one that felt like he was Ethan, right? He was his match.
Yeah,
And then I love the symmetry of it. I love that Lane captures Ethan in a box at the beginning, and then at the end, Ethan captures Lane in a box. It's kind of just desserts. I think it's just a very perfectly structured movie, and it has it has Alec Baldwin saying that he's the living embodiment of destiny. I think that's really funny.
I support your choice wholeheartedly, my friend. Just so you know, but I have Ghost Protocol at number 1.
Right.
It is my absolute favorite film in this series, and I think you really captured it because it really, in a lot of ways, it's very comic booky, and maybe the stakes don't feel as real, but for me, I felt like, even though, as I mentioned it, near the first of our discussion, I don't have much connection or full memory of the TV show,
Uh-huh.
but this watching Ghost Protocol made me feel in a way like I was a kid again.
Yeah.
Watching this spy show that was so appealing, and just so much fun. That Burj Khalifa sequence still was one. I think is the most thrilling and just one of the most cool sequences put on film. And again, I already mentioned Paula Patton. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like this sexist pig, but
Great.
And then just Jeremy Renner, the great chemistry with everybody, and Brad Bird of all people delivers such a cool movie. I still am blown away. I don't know if he's got more live action films in it, but if he does, I hope that they're nearly as good as this one, because I thought Ghost Protocol is just such a blast. And again, I think that I probably like your list better, Darin. I mean, let's just be honest, because I feel like too that it's your list is just more authentic to the series. But again, this is just my own personal enjoyment, just as we discussed.
Well, what I love about your list is it's you. Like, it's a perfect
Yeah,
representation of you. So why would you I appreciate you saying that, but it's like this is what we're talking about. Like, there's something to love in each of these movies. It's just varying degrees of what hits us versus what doesn't. Like I said with I can't believe that Ghost Protocol is my number 3. As much as I love Ghost Protocol, why it's my number 3?
yeah,
That says a lot for the series. Like,
yeah.
if 2 other movies I like better than that, because I love Ghost. And again, I put Ghost Protocol at 3. Somebody's going to look at that and go, "So you didn't like it?" It's like, don't make me slam my fist against my head. Like, what?
Right.
Why do you think like that?
Yeah, and as you're saying, honestly, these top 3, they're kind of interchangeable in a lot of ways, aren't they? Because they're all so good in their own in their own respective ways.
They're what Blockbuster should be, but also what franchise Blockbuster should
Yeah,
be. They have no reason to be that good, Stanford.
it's true.
So we're eating well, I think, with those.
I think so too, and it makes me want to rewatch at least these top three again. I'm not sure I can watch the last two again. Other than I would like to see the last 2 hours of. Maybe that's what I could do. Go to the theater and pay for the ticket, but don't go in until an hour,
right?
Or an hour and 20 minutes, because you have to have the 20 minutes of commercials and trailers, and then. Good stuff, Darin. This has been such a ball. Thanks for your expertise and your great taste and knowledge of cinema. It's always so wonderful talking with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for appreciating me, Stanford.
So, Darin,
I'm going to say this all the time. You're one of my best finds that I've ever had on social media. So,
my friend, thank you. Back at you.
We're able to meet face to face was like
I know.
Yeah,
that was so much fun, and a really great movie.
Yeah,
on top of it,
you're right.
That was the coolest. Agreed. Just something never to be forgotten. That was just the best. Darin, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me not talking at all about the Disney live-action remakes.
That's me being the angry old man.
You do all my work for me at DW Lundberg, or on Blue Sky at dwlundberg.bsky.social.
Outstanding. Well, yeah, follow Darin, because no one does better Twitter content than Darin, as far as I'm concerned. So thank you for keeping it real and always making me want to check out what you're saying, because I think it's always interesting and great.
Oh yeah, yeah. Make sure you check Nostalgia Cast and Back to Blue. I should drop those names. Check out those podcasts.
Yes, absolutely. You should. All right. Well, Darin, thank you so much again for joining me.
Thank you.
It was such a blast. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, a huge thanks to Darin Lundberg, my good friend and fellow movie fan, for joining me and talking about all the Mission Impossible stuff. Please subscribe to this podcast where you listen to podcasts, and follow me on Instagram. My handle is @moviespap, as in past and present. As always, I hope you will enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, be safe out there and dedicate yourself to the truth.